Alright, so we're going to go live right now. First time going live this year after a game. So give me a second just to get everything and make sure everything is running as it should be. And then we'll go ahead and dive right on into it very quickly. So at this point, I'm making sure the broadcast starts live on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, encourage you to click on that link to go over to YouTube. That way I can see your comments. But mission was to be the man of the people, work for you guys. So I go live so you all can type your questions and comments and I'll reply back. So without further ado, let me go ahead and get into it. I'm Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media, covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe. And today, preseason game number 2 here in Charlotte, Baltimore Ravens versus the Carolina Panthers. And as you see in the title, Tale of Two Halves. And let me just take a pause here because somebody talked to me about having clickbait. And you don't know me if you're going to accuse me of clickbait. Last video was talking about the interceptions in practice. Please watch the video through the end before you criticize me about what I talk about and don't talk about, because I did, in fact, talk about those 5 interceptions and a little bit more into it. So continue to leave your comments. Let me know what you want to hear. Let me know the questions that you may have. And I'll always make sure that I get those answered for you. Looks like the video just did something a little strange. I don't know if it stopped. Hopefully it did not stop. And I'm just going to keep on going here. So let me go ahead and talk about today's game. Coach Rule talked to the press immediately after the game. So that's where I want to start my comments from this evening. Normally I'd take a little bit more time to get stuff together, but it's getting late and I didn't want to start this video too late for everybody. So Rule talked about Will Grier. Will Grier and PJ Walker is the big topic because we don't know who's going to be quarterback number 2. In the depth chart, they listed them both as number 2 quarterbacks. Last week, PJ Walker had a really good performance against the Colts with the number 2s, and guess what? Things flip-flopped. This week, Will Grier had a very good outing with the number 2s, and PJ Walker not so good with the number 3s, right? So he said Grier did some pretty good things, had good poise, good signs, some good football. He'll have to go back and look at the tape before he becomes really critical. But he did say that Will missed a few things as far as some checks on blocking and protection. And then Will also spoke to the media as well, saying he had some communication issues as it got down near the red zone and doing some things there. So there's your report on Will Grier. I think this is certainly going to continue to play itself out. And last preseason game will be Friday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right now, the starters are hoping, he's not going to say what yet because things will change based on how practice goes this week, but Matt Rule is hoping that he'll get to see Sam Darnold for a half, which means we might get to see Will Grier and PJ Walker split third and fourth quarter. We'll see as things work themselves out. So first half, things look pretty respectable. Second half, things just seem to stall out. Matt Rule was asked about that. He said we just couldn't get open. Couldn't protect, just sounded like he was discussing and saying everything on the offensive side went pretty bad in that second half. Again, a little jumpy here with the topics because I'm just wanting to go over my bullet points from the press conference and some things that I want to talk about. Red zone offense was not as good as we'd like it to be. Coach Rule said that they were keeping things like base. They didn't want to go too fancy, do too much razzle-dazzle because it's just preseason. And so there's still some things there that they have not exposed that I guess they feel like they could if they needed to. But still said bottom line, 4th and 1 and in the red zone, they need to be a better team. So that's something they're going to continue to work on. It feels like they have improved upon, but yet it's still something that we have to get better at. And speaking of getting better, Joey Sly missed some field goals last week. Joey Sly missed some field goals this week. And Coach Rule seemed to put him on notice saying that he has to produce, and he hasn't produced, and Joey Sly knows that he hasn't produced. So could we see some competition in the kicking area? I think so. I think it's fair to say that you may see some competition there just to make sure that we are covering our bases. And Coach Rule wants to win. He signed let's not forget, he signed a really big contract last year for the Carolina Panthers. So he wants to win. David Tepper wants to win. So things look like they're going to continue to be scrutinized from top to bottom, week to week for this team. All right. So let's go ahead and get into some other things. That's mostly the coach talk that I had. And now I want to get into some of my notes and observations from this game today. And if you're on, hey, shoot me your questions. I'd love to hear from you, see what you have to say. Let me just make sure that I haven't missed any questions over there on YouTube. So I haven't. So let me go ahead and keep on going, all right? So, tale of two halves. What all does that entail? And I broke down some things that I want to share with you guys. Get into some stats as well for this recap versus the Baltimore Ravens. All right. So the first half, that score was 3-3. Ravens 3, Panthers 3. What did that look like? And it's an incredible difference. Okay. I'm just going to go over the Baltimore Ravens possessions in that first half. It was an interception. It was a fumble. It was a 3 and out. They finally made a field goal. All right, so that was the offense production for the Ravens in the first half / defensive production, if you look at it, by the Panthers. Pretty solid job. We couldn't make a 4th and 1. We missed the field goal. So these are points that we're absolutely leaving on the board. Couldn't make a 4th and 1. We missed the field goal. And then Joey Slye did make a field goal. So we had 3 points. So, but that was our first half. Flip it over to the second half, and the Carolina Panthers, nothing but 3 and outs. 3 and out, 3 and out. And you're not going to win any games like that. I mean, certainly early on, we were winning the turnover battle with the interceptions, with fumble recoveries, and things were looking good. But second half was a complete opposite. And I don't know what all that tells us yet. That could tell us that our second units, our depth is pretty poor for this team, that we have such dramatic differences between the first half and the second half. Maybe there's limitation on the players and what the coaches are comfortable to give them. So that's something that could be there. So it's a lot to really know just this early, but it's certainly something that I'm going to keep an eye on and continue to report to you all in regards to that. So the other thing was, I'm going to stay along those lines here. Third downs, pretty bad throughout the entire game, actually. We were only 2 of 11 on third down completions and 0 of 1 on fourth down completions. Time of possessions kills us. 38 minutes to 21 minutes. That's going to have your defense tired no matter how good they are. And this is early on in the season. So, you saw that last touchdown, I believe it was, for the Ravens, went straight up the middle. And I probably seen like about 4 guys didn't make a tackle. That's fatigue. Yeah, you don't want to see that happen, but 38 minutes to 21 minutes, 76 plays to 43 plays, second preseason game, that's going to happen, all right? So that's a little bit about that. I'm going to go ahead and share with you all some stats and get into some other things. So here we are, quarterback battle, something pretty big to watch. Will Grier, pretty solid performance, 11 of 14, 144 yards, nice 10.3 yard average. Got sacked twice, but had a quarterback rating of 109.5. Sam Darnold, got it, we did not get to see, but for one series, I think Coach Rule said it was about 7 plays, 1 of 2. Still, want to see more from him. Again, guys, unfortunately, I haven't been at practice because my COVID full vaccination will not happen until next Saturday. So I'm actually going to miss seeing this team in person throughout the entire preseason. But I will start seeing them in practice, and we'll continue to tell you what I make observation-wise when I get to see Sam Darnold live. All right, and then we go to P.J. Walker, 1 of 8, and his completion didn't happen until the last attempt. So P.J. Walker missed 7 in a row before he converted on a completion there. But it was still not that good. Only 8 yards, 39.6 passer rating. So that's your quarterback battle. Decisions to be made. I'll let you guys know as I get more information about what that's looking like. Let's go ahead and look at the running backs. Now, Christian McCaffrey didn't play. GM was speaking during the telecast saying that we can't expect Christian McCaffrey to play in his final game. So I'm sure they're just being very cautious with him. We don't really need to see what Christian McCaffrey can do because we really know. But Chuba Hubbard did very well. Wrong graphic. Let me go over to this one. Chuba Hubbard had 9 carries for 24 yards. Overall, our running wasn't that good, but we got behind. But Hubbard was the standout there. 9 carries, 24 yards, and basically our quarterbacks were able to get some more of the other one. So let's go ahead and switch over to the receiving side, where again, Mr. Marshall was the standout guy. 3 receptions, 50 yards. Shi Smith, 2 receptions, 35 yards on 6 targets. And then look at our guy Chuba. And you guys know I used to say Chubba, but I learned it's Chuba. Chuba Hubbard getting in on the receptions as well. He had, I'm sorry, wrong graphic. Preseason mess ups over here, Charlotte Vibe. But Chuba had 2 receptions for 29 yards, which is pretty good. And then you see a bunch of other people there with some attempts and some misses. So that's what we look like stat-wise. Injury-wise, we did have Kenny Robinson left the game, our safety with a knee injury. He did not return. That's all I got for you guys. Again, short week. We'll be playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. And let me see if there's any questions that came through before I jump off of here. All right, I see we got one question here. So disappointed in the offense is Taylor Styles. To be fair, it seems we keep throwing awkward routes on 3rd and short instead of keeping it simple. And then the flags were concerning our opponents. Yeah, you know, one thing that Will Greer mentioned when he was talking to the media about his performance was the fact that the Baltimore Ravens has some very, very complicated blitz schemes. One of the most complicated that he's seen in his short career, and maybe that played a part into it. You know, if it was tough for him, certainly could say it's even tougher for other rookies that are trying to make this team on the line, trying to pick up things, guys getting it open. Just observations, not excuses, just observations about this team and what happened tonight. But Taylor, thank you for jumping on and asking some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. But again, man of the people, I want your questions. I'm going to have a show that I'm going to do. I believe it's going to be, I want to say Mondays, but technically it's always going to be the day after a game, where I just want you all to log on, ask me your Carolina Panther questions, whether it's whatever it may be, simple, complex. I want to be here for you. So please keep that in mind. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification so that you can be aware of when I go live so you can join me on. And that's it. I appreciate it as always. I'm Chris Jenkins for the Charlotte Vibe. See you later.